Then I believe I need to go in and
Hooray!
oh, it's 6 o'clock.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition, a third edition of Empower Hour. Hooray! Third? Do you do three
Hooray.
or do you do three? Tell us in the comments. Or do you do three? How do you do three? In case you don't know what Empower Hour is, it is an entire hour dedicated to mindset development. It is dedicated to answering your questions. Should you have any, pop them in the chat somewhere on the screen. Molly and I will answer them as best as we can. And we should have it, maybe we should call it the segment Stump the Coach.
Sure. Do you know when I was in college, I was a bartender.
Mhm.
And one of my jobs, I had three jobs, and one of them was at a bartending place. And I played a game called Stump the Bartender.
Ooh.
And it was basically if you asked me how to make something and I didn't know what it was, you got the first one free.
Hey, I
But
like that.
then it went into my database, so it got increasingly more difficult to stump the bartender because I have a really good memory.
I would say, I was
So
gonna
it's
say,
fun.
having worked with you for a bit now, yeah, I concur. You have a fantastic memory.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You are welcome.
So yeah, I don't know if anyone has joined us from LinkedIn or they saw the stuff on because I put it out on, we've put everything on and inviting people through our newsletter and through Instagram. And our subscriber base is growing. Thank you, thank you, thank you to everyone. Whoop, whoop. Also, totally random, but this is sign language for applause. Yeah, so yeah,
Really
I'm stoked. I'm
cheesily.
yeah, I'm excited. So anyway, I really wish that they taught American Sign Language as a foreign language in schools.
I agree. I definitely would have taken that. I took
Yeah,
Spanish. I remember next to nothing of
I
it.
took French.
See, I wish I took French too,
And
but
well, French is a little bit more easy for me because I was an art student, but it's also I really would love to learn more languages. I think it's great for your brain health to learn more languages, and it's great to be able to understand how to interact and talk with a greater number of people. So I'm all for it.
I am too. I took a little bit of Japanese in college. And sometimes would answer in Spanish in class. No, it's like wrong language. I'm like, sorry, I only know so much of each language. So
I wonder if there's like a language highway up there where they're like, no, après vous.
that means,
That
yeah.
means after you. That
Oh,
means after you in French.
got it.
And sometimes when I would get in class and I would answer a question, I would use two or three languages in the answer. I would use English and Spanish and French because
Mhm.
my brain would just plug in the word that it wanted to use. It was
Yeah.
very strange. Anyway,
I feel like I don't know the brain science on this, but now I'm gonna because knowing you know me and how I like to look up stuff about the brain. Um, I wonder if that's a thing that happens more commonly if you learn a language later in life versus like before. I think the age is 23. If you learn before 23, it's easier for you. And after 23, it's like something in your brain, like just is like, no languages, no new languages, thank you. And it becomes exponentially harder unless you live and immersed in that language. Because that feels similar to my experience when I was in college. Anyway, should
yeah,
we get into the magic
yeah.
hat?
Let's do. So, just to explain to people who may or may not know, one of the things that we have, and the hat has changed every week, just
I love it.
because I don't know, I just grabbed this one. But the magic hat is a whole bunch of um, topics. And some of the topics have been things that our clients have asked us, or common questions about mindset, or stuff like that. But we also love it if you would either pop something in the chat that you want to talk about, or that is something that has to do with mindset, or you're always welcome to just message us at hello@futureu.com. I think that's somewhere floating around out
Hello
there.
at Meet Future You.
That's right. Thank you. Hello at meetfutureu.com. I think I should have like a poster. So anyway, so what we do is we pull something out of the hat, out of the magic hat. Christina or I have no idea what this is going to say. and then we riff on it for a while and see what happens, and then we start talking about other stuff as it occurs to us. So we'll see what this says. Here we go. The importance of small actions. Oh, okay. Sometimes when I write stuff, I'm like, what was I thinking? Okay, so this says the importance of small actions. Name a time when this was important or helpful for you. So it's kind of like a combination thing. So first of all, I think it's important for us to chat about how very important small actions are each day. It's a basis of my book, Circuit Train Your Brain. But it's also, I think it would be fun for us to chat about when we can talk about a specific time in our life where we saw the impact of making those small choices every day and consistently, and how that paid off or out for us. So I'm gonna zip it and go to you,
Oh
since
my
I've been
goodness.
talking for a while.
Well, first, I love that topic. Also, if anyone in the YouTube lands or elsewhere has a question or a topic they'd like us to address, please add it to the comments and we will add it to the Magic Hat and it will appear at some point, or we can bump it to the front of the line and get it up there. Speaking of which, I'm going to try to pull up the comments so I can monitor the chat while we're here. So, but while you were talking about the topic that you pulled, two things came to mind right away. One is we're doing it right now. This is only our third episode, and eventually we'll have over 1 million subscribers to this channel. So, I mean, clearly, right? So, but it starts with that one tiny thing of we had to make the channel, right? We had to then decide that we were gonna commit to doing this every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central. And then then we had to do it. And so this is our third week and here we are. And we have 10 whole subscribers right now. So we're officially in the double digits. And and like by the time you're seeing this, dear viewer, you might be, subscriber number 1 million. So who knows? All those actions are small but compound over time. I'll stop. I'll save my other example as a personal one. But Molly, what do you think of those?
Well, first of all, I think your example was absolutely appropriate, and you know something that is a work in progress, so to speak. I'm going to use a weightlifting analogy because when I was a single mom, I had a membership at the gym where I had a membership in the women's locker room. That they have the one that's open for kids and whatever, and it's usually a little bit more chaotic. But since I was a single mom, I paid extra to have that little quiet space, at least for a little bit of time during my day. And when I first started working out, I wasn't really in bad shape per se, but I started out with smaller weights, increasing the weight, or, the repetitions, and then increasing the weight a little bit more. And so I was in pretty good shape. But the thing is that it really didn't uh, resonate with me until I was doing things like everyday things. Like I recognized that I was able to just like carry buckets of groceries into the house, or I could put a kid on one hip and I could lift a whole bunch of other stuff with the other arm, and just all of these things that were just, it was really, in terms of how did that work out for you, which was the second part of the question, is that I think a lot of times we tend to downplay the impact of small actions because we really don't see immediate payoff. Or very, very seldom, I should say. Maybe once in a while there might be, but I highly doubt it. It's usually after a period of weeks, or sometimes, honestly, even years, where
Mhm.
you turn around and you look behind you and you're like, oh my gosh, I've walked 5 miles or whatever.
Yeah, I absolutely love that because I think of the um, idea of startups being an overnight success when in reality sometimes they've been 10 years in the making. I think I want to say Uber was like that, before they got to their unicorn status of being, having $1 billion in investment. Before we had all finally heard of Uber and then just exploded. So there's like that tipping point. Or Lizzo is another example when she first came on the scene. She was like already like 10 years in the making at that point. And it's like, she's like, yeah, guys, I've been here. Thank you for finally seeing and recognizing who it is. There's countless examples of that. So yeah, to your point of like all these small actions do eventually lead up to something big, or they can sometimes take time, even years. I was going to use my personal example was also going to be a workout example, but recently, like I've been on this journey of just being healthier and stronger. Like I don't necessarily want to like lose weight. If I do, that's great. And in the past 5 months, I actually just looked at this today. In the past 5 months, I've lost 10 pounds. So that's like yeah, thank you. So that's 2 pounds. We do the math, 2 pounds a month, which, to some people is not a lot. But I mean, that sounds sustainable to me. And so hopefully the goal is to continue going and do my yoga and keep walking the pup and eating healthy and all of that. And all of it I'm actually finally starting to see it. And people are starting to notice. And so that's always reinforcing and that's helpful. So I've felt a lot better, which has been great. So all of that is motivating and reinforcing and everything like that. And so yeah, just taking those tiny actions can lead to big change. I think I painted that once. I think I painted that as a watercolor a couple years ago. I'll have to dig that up.
So one of the things that I think is so important as it relates to coaching, and I'm going to kind of plug FutureU Labs a little bit here, is that when we have our um, the group coaching, so many times a client will come in and they're like, "I want to change my life in an hour." Can we can we
Right
have
now.
can we have a 1 hour consult and just fix me?
Yeah.
And it's just like, first of all, I don't like the term fix me, which a lot of times people will actually use that terminology. Can you fix me? I'm broken. And it's like, no, you're not. And so I just wanted to get that out into the space.
Mhm.
But, we have a process that goes through months because there is a dismantling process and a part where you're like, this is no longer serving me, and those types of incremental steps are actually really big. Even the step of realizing that you're not where you want to be, that's a big deal. And I think a lot of people minimize those types of things because you can't get to where you want to go if you don't know that you're not where you want to be. And so just even having those small steps of inward steps that aren't even visible externally, I think it's really important to celebrate and notice those things about you or about your journey, whomever you are.
Mhm. I love that you mentioned that the one of the first steps is like just acknowledging that you aren't where you want to be. I was literally listening to the book The Source by Dr. Tara Swart, while I was having lunch or making lunch. And she was saying that there's a four-step process. And the first one like is about, and she's all about, neuroscience. She's a doctor. She has been studying this. She's also a psychologist as well. And the first step is acknowledging and having the awareness. And I think we were talking about this last week or the week before, in relation to mindset changes. Um, yeah, and like noticing that there's something that you want to change about your mindset, or like, I went negative, like let's reframe this. That's true in nearly everything. You like first step of the 12-step, Alcohol Anonymous program is, admitting that you have a problem, right? So, I mean, that was way before neuroscience and brain imaging was a thing even, and we knew that acknowledgement is necessary and a first step towards helping or improving.
So because it's Black History Month, um, one of the quotes that James Baldwin says is that until, not everything that can be what is it? Not everything that can be seen can be changed, but until it's seen, it can't be changed. I totally bungled up the word isn't seen. Uh, but
Sorry.
it's basic. Well, it's basically, you can't change everything, or not everything that can be. I should Google it, but I don't want to get off a tangent. If anyone knows that, please put it in the chat, and I will definitely put it out on LinkedIn or something. I will follow up with that because one of my biggest frustrations is that my brain is going a mile a minute sometimes, and I catch snippets as it's going through. So,
Got it.
my apologies out there, but I think that it is important.
Well, I found it. Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced.
Faced. I knew it had to do something with seen,
Yes.
but close. Thank you
Yes,
for
you're
looking
right.
that up. Thank you for saving me.
No problem. You were very, very close. We got the gist either way. But yes, happy to Google anything you need.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank you.
here for your Googling needs.
Thank you. So, I'm thinking about part of the Empower Hour, because I do want to go back to the small changes and things like that. But I kind of we forgot to start the what do you call it, with our little centering moment. So
Oh gosh, yeah, we just kind of dove right in,
we just
didn't we?
kind of that's okay. So kind of one of the things that I wanted to go back to was, part of what the Empower Hour is, you're definitely going to be scenes from a hat, but we also want to help people with, I hate to say we're living through unprecedented times. I really wish I was living in a more boring time. But
I would prefer precedented times. Thank you very much.
ditto. But I also know that um, there are a lot of people out there who are really under a lot of stress, and when you're under a lot of stress, your brain literally does not work the same way. Different things shut down. Cortisol does things to your body, and it does things to just more than your brain. I mean, it has all sorts of cortisol and your adrenal glands go off the charts when you're under stress and you're angry or you're scared or you're tensed up. So one of the things that we wanted to have is this Empower Hour was, in addition to scenes from a hat, or the mystery hat, the magic hat, is that we also wanted to just include some things like we've done like yoga exercises or things that you can do. And so let's just do you want to do the centering thing since I did it last time, or would you like me to do that again? I don't want to keep talking. If you'd like to get a word in,
No,
Joyce.
if you had something in mind, I actually I came unprepared
Oh,
today and forgot that we did this. It's only our third one, and so it already left my brain. Unless we want to do box breathing, I'm always happy to lead people through that.
okay. So let's do box breathing, and then I'll think of something, and then we'll go back to talking about um just everything.
Okay. Or
Okay.
we can also pull another topic from the Magic Hat.
We could. We've got plenty of topics.
Yeah, I mean, unless we've not exhausted that one. Okay. Okay, so box breathing. If you haven't heard of box breathing, it is pretty simple. We all know how to breathe, hopefully. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here, right? So it is basically breathing in for 4 seconds, holding it for 4 seconds, exhaling for 4 seconds, and holding that for 4 seconds. And we're going to do it 3 times total. You think of a box. There's 4 sides. 4 seconds here, 4 seconds here, here, and here. And then we're going to do it again. Okay. So, ready? Exhale expend all your air. Take breath in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. One more time. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Okay. How
Much
did it?
better. That was good. That was good. It just the thing about breathing is that it's so underrated and underappreciated because people do just take it for granted. It's part of the autonomic system. It's, your body's just, there's part of your subconscious that's uh, does it, and that's one of the reasons I love the movie Inside Out. Because
Yeah.
when I was a little kid, you can just imagine the little control center up there, and I loved how they used the marbles as an illustration of how the emotions go through. Um, but there's a part of your system, the autonomic system, that just does all of your housekeeping, your living housekeeping, and so um, we don't think about breathing. And so many times, a lot of us are breathing too shallowly, or we're breathing from here, and we're not really filling our lungs, and the diaphragm isn't really being engaged. So I think that having those intentional moments for breathing is super important. So thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for bringing up the belly breaths. Those deep belly breaths are really, really helpful in helping to level out some of the cortisol and whatnot. Just doing that even just a few times a day, will you'll start to see again, tying back to our magic hat topic. You'll see the small incremental movements that will compound over time.
Yep. So the other thing about breathing is that it can be used in so many instances if one can uh, train yourself to recognize when it's necessary. And I know that sounds really silly. Of course, you're going to need to be breathing, but I mean, at the times when you can tell that you get cut off in traffic, or someone does something at work, or your kid sasses back or says something, or whatever, or there's these moments that you can almost and anticipate that those might be things that would be stressful to you. And so you can just train yourself to breathe first, and then once all of your cells are full of oxygen, you're in a much better space, literally and figuratively, to address whatever it is that's going on. So it just is a really small habit that helps out.
Yeah. I mean, I just growing up, I always heard of people, I think I even remember like something on the Flintstones going way back to, cartoon times, um, where Fred had to count to 10 because to manage his anger, and that was just, taking that time to not only just stop and have a pattern interrupt, which is also really important and probably goes back to like acknowledging that there's something that needs to be addressed, right? But then the counting, you're also breathing through that. Whether you're conscious of the actual breathing itself, you're focusing on just counting, and counting is basically breathing. So if you're doing it out loud, I mean, but to your point, thank goodness we don't have to think about breathing consciously.
So that was something that you said, though, that reminded me of the interrupting aspect of it. And so when my kids were little, and they were getting really worked up about something, and they were upset and having a meltdown or whatever, one of the things that my pediatrician taught me to do was to actually blow a little bit of air into their face. And it sounds weird, but just
Yeah,
like a little
that's
puff of just a little puff of air, and basically like a and not but what it does is it causes the child to do an intake of breath, and that little actually does interrupt the circuitry of the meltdown,
Oh,
because there's
wow.
your brain gets in this track of anger or fear or meltdown or whatever, and having them do that intake of breath interrupts that. So
Oh God, that's fascinating. I was really hoping you were not gonna say it's like, the spray bottle with a cat.
oh no.
Which I mean, also, I don't know. I hear it works. I haven't tried that with my cats in the past, but um
I'm allergic to cats,
For a
so
kid, that would probably work too, but maybe not have the same effect. This is why I'm not a parent, folks. Um, it's anything other than a dog, who I think is sleeping in my bed right now. He's gotten awfully quiet, thank goodness. I love that. That was fat. Yeah, when you were like, which might sound weird. I'm like, yeah. So you just a little like you're blowing out a candle almost very quickly, or oh, that's interesting. Does it work on adults?
maybe.
It might be a little weirder. If anyone tries it,
I was going to say that would be
please
something
report
that
back.
for the, yeah, that's something for the HR people to answer
Ooh,
in the crowd.
see, that's
So
not a great.
it
We won't
probably
be.
wouldn't go over well.
No, we won't. We'll not be incorporating that into our workshops. Which we do, by the way. We do workshops. If you'd like to bring in, uh, some fun and some brain science into your team environment, we are available for such needs.
Yeah, that was actually something that I really enjoyed. We just, again, um, when we had those focus groups with different individuals about, um, I'm always interested to learn different perspectives from different people who've lived different lives from me, because I always learn something. So it was really a fun exercise we had about, I don't know how many interviews over the course of 2-3 weeks, but it was just really wonderful, and I'm looking forward to getting some of those workshops planned and conducted, so that we can start to really um, have an impact in a different way, because that's one of the reasons why the whole Empower You and or in the Empower Hour and Future You exists, is that I can speak from myself, and I'll stop speaking in a second, but oh, this isn't in our newsletter yet, but I'm reading The Reinvention of Work.
Oh, great.
and
Yeah, I
and,
was gonna
and it's
say camera was a little blurry there. It didn't.
yeah, it's the reinvention of work, and it's all about um, the alignment of what you do and how it adds to the world, and how it contributes, and how it makes you feel. And it's not necessarily a follow your bliss type of thing with the Joseph Campbell, but it also is really thinking about, are you doing something that you hate, and how does that affect not only you but the world at large?
I love that. And what is it called? The reinvention of work?
Yep.
Oh,
It says, the reinvention of work, a new vision of livelihood for our time.
very cool. Did you just start reading that?
Literally just today. Yep.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic. Okay. We can add it to another book in the book club, the book nook. Oh, that's so fascinating. Okay, sorry. So now I have got Joseph Campbell up on a tab over here for me to look into more after Empower Hour. Dear viewer, how many tabs do you have open on your laptop right now? Or in your browser? Let us know in the chat, in your mobile browser. I know in Safari I have 499 as of earlier today. You're only
Wow.
allowed to have 500, and I needed to open something, so I closed two.
Wow. I think I usually average about 68.
Wow, surprisingly few.
Yeah. That's really wild. I've that
A lot, but yeah, 500,
that's
yeah, it's a lot. I don't use Safari very often, so I kind of forget about it. But Chrome is exactly the same on my phone. It's not much better on my laptop, but it is better.
well, I wanted to see if should we do another
Yeah.
let's do that. Okay. Because I think that the logic in the other one that we did was pretty self-explanatory in terms of the impact of doing things. I just wanted to kind of, before I open this one, is to
Mhm.
just let people know again that don't be too hard on yourself if you feel as if you're not doing anything, because you're doing more than you think, and consistency is so powerful when you're making any change. And the change itself. Oh, what was it the other day that we said? I think it was in last, maybe it was in last week's or the weeks prior, or it could have been when you and I were having a conversation apart from this. But it was the concept of putting one or two things on your to-do list and then doing them,
Oh
even if they were
yeah.
really, really easy ones, and then saying to yourself out loud, I keep my promises to myself. And just something that small creates huge ripples that you can't even see. So anyway,
Well, two things before you read that. So, okay. Oh my gosh. I love that we do this, how we are able to like play off of each other. So like two things. The first, I recently just read that it can, not always, but it can take up to 7 times to start something before you actually do it. So like think about people quitting smoking. I know I've heard that years ago. That was the reference, but this time it was in reference. Oh, I think it was in the source. Um, that like if you're like a workout program, because we were using that as an example before, like I've probably tried 7 other times before it finally started to work, right? So, we have these fits and starts, and that's okay. There's so much pressure on us to like get it right the first time or to quit something cold turkey or to start something, and now it's your whole entire identity from now and forever. Like it doesn't, that's not real. That's not realistic. I mean, it can happen, but those times are very rare. The other thing, oh, did she lose the second thing that she was thinking of? It had to do with the 100-day project. Um,
your book.
no, I wasn't gonna bring that up, but thank you. Well, we can talk about that another time. Um, oh my gosh, what was it? Oh, this is welcome to my brain. Um, well, the only thing that I can think of that is relevant of that, and this was not it, but that I've tried. I mean, you and I were talking about this right before we hopped on live here, is that like I've tried to do the 100-day project four, I think, times if I think back. And I think I've gotten to like week 2 is the furthest I've ever gotten for it. And so like this is the year I'm gonna fucking do it. And it's gonna happen. And I'm gonna write a book. So come June 4th, because it ends on the 3rd. So come June 4th, I will have a book for at least someone to download.
Very
If
cool.
if not published. But it has literally taken me at least 3 or 4 times to want to try to do this 100-day project, which starts February 23rd. So and it's a free thing organized, I don't know by whom, but they've got their stuff together. There's a Substack for it. So if you just look up the hashtag 100-day project, or if you Google it, their website will show up. So join me, paint every day or draw or doodle or something. So I'll talk about the book another time.
Okay. Well, I like the 100-day project. It sounds a lot like a different other internet, like October is Inktober,
Yes,
and
and
you've
like
got the
no.
November is writing, and
Mhm.
so it just is a really great way to have. Oh, which kind of reminds me, I am going to mention quickly Aiden and Trash Friends. And
Yes.
they're because accountability buddy jumped into my head, which reminded me of body doubling, which reminded me of what Trash Friends does. Trash Friends is one of our sponsors for FutureU Labs, and I know that we've got his stuff out someplace, but I'll definitely put it someplace else, or go out to Trash Friends. They have a Facebook group. I don't think he actually has a website per se,
Not
but
yet. It's in the works.
yeah, he's doing a lot of stuff. He's growing as a business, which is really exciting. But
Mhm.
one of the things that he does is he specializes in ADHD and uh, not neuroatypical. What is the
Neurodivergent.
neurodivergent? Thank you.
Mhm.
And but he also works with people with hoarding issues, or people with organization issues, or people who need help with maybe they have um, health issues that makes cleaning difficult for them. But one of the other things that he does, especially as it relates to ADHD, is this body doubling, where they have he'll work with them specifically, and that's more probably his area of expertise. But I would just highly encourage you, if accountability and having that, knowing that you've got that partner who's doing something at the same time as you are, or whatever, it's appealing. Um, they're doing it there, and it's really helpful. So anyway, we totally went off the topic. Um,
I
I do want to
feel like
mention
that's part
something.
of the beauty of being live, is you never know
Yeah,
where the conversation's gonna take you.
Yeah, well, this is something I wanted to mention just as an FYI because I have been also watching my battery and I thought I would be safer. And so far I've got this much left. So I don't know if there's something on my computer that's an absolute battery.
It's
Uh,
probably Zoom.
well, let's blame Zoom. But if we happen to go dark all of a sudden,
Oh no.
that's
What
why.
percent are you
It's
at?
well, I'm away from I brought my plug in, but I thought I've been doing a lot of work downtown, so I found a little corner that I thought I'll just do this over here, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, I found a corner without a plug-in.
Oh, that's okay.
So if we go dark, it's
We'll
a
know why.
it's
Molly's
an
okay. She hasn't been abducted. The
it's
battery
it's an
battery just ran out.
it's an inadvertent cliffhanger.
You'll just have to tune in next
That's right.
Tuesday.
They didn't get out of the cock-a-doodle car. Do you remember that from Misery?
What
Do you
is that?
remember? So okay, so we'll get to this in a second, I promise. But there's the movie Misery with um
Yeah.
Annie Wilkes is a character.
Oh, I can't remember.
Kathy
Yeah,
Bates
thank you. I'm like,
played
I
her,
can picture her.
which
Yeah.
oh my
See,
God,
we're
what
two
a
for two on movies that you've mentioned that I have actually seen. That's
oh.
rare. I have not seen a lot of
But
movies.
remember how mad she got at Paul? The writer's name was Paul, and how
Yeah.
mad she got at it because she went to the movies every weekend and
Broke
the
his
cliff
ankle.
hair. And well, yeah, she hobbled him. So that he would write the story about anyway, but she's like, he didn't get out of the cock-a-doodle car. And the cliffhanger, she was really PO'd that the next day or the next Saturday, the um, star of the movie reappeared in the serial when in fact he should have apparently perished at the bottom of a cliff. Again, this is live, everyone. This is kind of amazing.
Well, I was just like, God, how when did I was just Googling like when that movie, I was 10 when that movie came out. So the only part I remember really is the breaking of the ankles. That's stayed with me.
Well, it's one of my favorite movies of his. Misery is one that they did a great adaptation. The Shining scares the crap out of me every
Oh
time I
yeah.
see it. Dolores Claiborne, also a really great um, one of his books in a movie form. What's another one? I don't know. I'm sure there's some in it. Okay, let's see what this says,
Oh,
just
wait,
in
real
case.
quick before we get on,
Oh no, sure.
while we were talking about Misery, you also gave me a chance to look up. Trash Friends has their body doubling schedule. They're doing one tomorrow, which is February 12th. So if you happen to catch it, you can email them at trash at trashfriends.com. Or you can find them on Instagram and DM them and they'll send you information. So there's one tomorrow, February 12th. There's also one February 16th, which is a Sunday. And then also next Wednesday, February 26th. The Wednesday ones are from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. and the Sunday one is from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. all Central Time.
Okay, so I do know that he does have clients all over. These are body doubling that are virtual. So if you're not in Central Time and you're listening to us and you're in Germany, if you're, as long as you can hit that time period, or just call him and see if they can figure out some other time that he'll work with you independently as a client. I'm sure that he'll do that because again, he does have staff, and I do know that this is something that they're going to be offering ongoing. So I don't know what the March schedule is yet, but we'll definitely keep those up to date. So
I will actually add all of that. I'll add all of that to the description. If it will,
cool.
I think it'll let me. Yes, it will let me. I can have up to 5,000 words in the description. So we're adding it right now. There, added.
Perfektenschlag. It's one of my
A
favorite
language
words.
theme today. I love it.
I love Dwight. He's such a dork.
Oh God, I forgot that was from The Office. Oh my God,
Yeah.
yes. Okay, magic hats.
All right, let's see what it says. Here we go. How to open your mind to new possibilities.
Ooh.
I'll let you take that one.
How to open your mind to new possibilities. Oh man, I was just getting in a Facebook comments argument with someone about not having an open mind, specifically around um, politics. I won't get into the details there. However, they were very clearly one-sided, and at the same time complaining about the other side and how you can't literally, this is verbatim, cannot show them facts to change their mind. And I forget what his second sentence was, but it was, I remember, but I commented something about like, well, the last two sentences are that you wrote are true. It's that like it's called cognitive bias. Like if you have an opinion, oh, he said something about like you will warp your mind around what you heard. Now I'm paraphrasing. You'll warp your mind around what it is that you read or saw in order to have it meld with your identity. That's the gist. That's only part of the words, but that he actually used. But I'm like, well, that's true. I'm like, it's called cognitive bias. There's a literal thing for it. And so your brain will actually go out and seek statements, not facts, statements and examples and quote unquote evidence that will support what it is that you already believe in your brain. We all have that. We all suffer from it. It is part of how our brains are wired in order to keep us safe. How do you open yourself up to new options? I think by being curious. I think Molly, I'm really interested in what you have to say because I understand the problem, I understand the issue, I understand what it is, I understand the brain science behind it, how to undo it, I'm still working through, but my first thought is by remaining curious and by having an open, oh God, I don't like to use the word in the definition, but by having like an open um mindset around things.
So I think that sometimes your brain cracks open, so to speak, when it's being forced to. I think sometimes we don't have a choice per se, but your brain is given a chance to reassess things under times of stress or under times of crisis when something that you have been doing is no longer tenable or it's no longer working. And it's just where it's like if you get into a car and say, I'm going to drive to New York, and you specifically turn around and drive west, and you can pretend for quite some time driving through Illinois that it looks like the Midwest, I'm going the right direction, until finally you run into Devil's Tower and you're like, wait a second, I absolutely am not going the right direction. And you're faced with something that is in your face that says, you're going west. You're going to have to change your mind. You're going to have to change direction. And so I think that sometimes being open is involuntary, but then I will also say that sometimes you can see clues around you that you need to change, and sometimes it might be losing a lot of friends or losing a lot of jobs or having some sort of thing where it's like people are dropping like flies around you or nobody wants to answer your calls anymore or whatever. And I mean, people, drop in and out of your life all the time type of thing. But if you notice, it's kind of like if you were to drop 40 pounds in a weekend, there'd be something going on with your physiology. And the same thing happens with any other type of not relationship, but relationship is the best I'm getting right now. So that's kind of what I'm getting. That's one of the things where you might want to ask yourself, why is this happening? And not to make it about you, like I'm broken or I'm flawed, which kind of goes back to what we started with. But I mean, look at the variables from a dispassionate standpoint and say, is something that I'm doing not healthy or whatever. So I don't know if that answered the question, and I ripped it up, unfortunately.
Oh, that's okay. That reminds me of what you were talking about with like when you're forced to come to terms that like maybe there are other viewpoints. And first of all, there's almost always other viewpoints. I think the only one is like anything like actually science-based, that's been proven many, many times over again, like flat earthers. That's a whole other story. But the thing that reminded me that I was thinking of when you were just talking is that like it's a quote from somebody, and I can't remember what it is, but people don't change until the pain of staying the same outweighs the pain of changing.
That's a 9 in. That's a quote. And I have the low battery little red warning thing. So if
Well,
we go dark in a second,
okay.
dear readers, dear viewers,
Oh no.
that's
Okay.
why.
Well, it's okay. We can probably wrap it. I mean, we're 45 minutes in, so it's almost an hour.
And next time, I like I said, I have my plug-in. I'm just not near one, so I
That's
will know next time to find a plug-in. Sorry, folks, it was my fault.
that's all right. No worries. No worries. But yeah, the one of the I mentioned the flat earthers. I'm not even sorry. I'm gonna pick on you if you're a flat earther. There was the guy recently, I think this is just a few weeks ago or a month ago, who was taken to the North Pole to to see that the Earth is not flat, and he was literally like, "Wow, okay, well, I guess I was wrong, and I have to eat crow." Like that's not that last part's not what he said. But basically he was like, I'm gonna catch a lot of hell for this, but I was wrong. And I'm like, good on you, man. And like that, it takes a lot. It takes a lot to say that you were wrong. And especially like I think he was doing it either, it was definitely recorded. You can go find the video, you can search it for yourself. Um, I think it was also live. So, but I mean to to do that, and I think he had quite a following as well. Um, that takes a lot. So I will give him a lot of credit for that because that's not easy for anyone to do, let alone publicly. So
I agree.
I think oh God, this is such an interesting topic, and I would love to explore this more. That's a lot of why we're at where we are in I think the world and definitely within the United States politically is that people don't want to be open to the other side. Um, Personally, I try to a certain extent. Like I don't have beef with Republicans per se. I should say, I don't have beef with someone who is conservative minded. Like, fine, be conservative all you want. Modern day Republicans, I take issue with because of the orange one, the things that he stands for. And I like humans and human rights. And so those are, for the most part, diametrically opposed. But I will have a conversation with someone who is a diehard Trumper and approach it with curiosity because I do want to try to understand where they're coming from. And I want to believe that they're not a horrible, evil goblin person, right? Like we don't need to demonize each other. That doesn't get us anywhere. Um, so mm, maybe I stepped on a third rail. That's fine.
Well, no, I think that it's important to say things because you have to, especially when you're someone who's, no, I don't want to run out of battery. I think that when you start to treat people as if they're not human or they're not worthy of being listened to, then you are basically abandoning your own humanity, which is something that is never helpful. And instead of trying to, what is it? Trying to fight. What is it? To arm wrestle a pig or whatever. And not to say that anyone's a pig, but I mean, what's that thing that if you try to arm wrestle a pig, you both get muddy and everyone loses or something like that. I don't know. That's a terrible
I don't know that
analogy.
one, but I
It's a
mean, it
terrible
makes sense.
analogy, but it's like it's really I should have stayed with humanity. That was more. There's a cleaner analogy, but it's really that you don't want to lose your humanity, and and in order to elevate each other, you have to attempt to at least uh, communicate to the highest version of what the other person is capable of being, and oftentimes that person will respond, and if that portion of them will respond, and if it doesn't, then you as an individual having tried to make that overture, at least you haven't surrendered your humanity.
Mhm.
And then you can say, you know what, the energy exchange is imbalanced and I'm going to disengage because there's no dynamic here. There's no desire to try to gain common ground. And so then I'm just going to
Mhm.
disengage. But to just assume everyone else that isn't like you is not worthy of respect is flawed.
Oh, absolutely. Agreed. Yeah. Yeah. I always just, like I said, try to ask questions, and I like to understand things. I like to try to find the why behind things. That is probably across the board in everything I do. So, curiosity
Curiosity is awesome.
and mutual respect. As soon as that, to your point, I think as soon as that's gone, I'm out.
Yep.
We'll
Yep.
spend my energy elsewhere because there's a finite resource.
Correct. Um, I never know when this is going to go to sleep. It says your Mac will sleep soon unless plugged into a power outlet.
Uh-oh.
So we've got 9 minutes.
We can wrap.
So I just thought maybe it would be cleaner to wrap a little early
Yeah.
so that there's not some amazing point that someone's making and all of a sudden it goes, yeah, I don't want that. So
We can, yeah. I think that was a great session. If I do so say myself. I think we did great, Molly.
I do too.
We're
I
doing
think
it.
we're getting a little better every time. So and the other thing, going back to the original point, was that taking little steps every time gives you an opportunity to course correct and to figure out what worked. Now I know I'm going to need to have my plugin near a plugin thingy, but I mean these were this is all about incrementalism and consistency, and that's how change is made. That's how sustainable change is made, and that's how lives are changed. So
There is no failure, only feedback. This has been one of my favorite things. There are no problems, only projects, and there's no failure, only feedback. I mean, unless you're a surgeon, and then maybe there's failure, but dark. I got dark real quick. Sorry. Join us next week where Christine will step on multiple third rails.
that's okay. There's nothing wrong with no. I don't think we did that. No, it's just live, which is part of the appeal.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, we will occasionally. I mean, Christine and I love talking with Christine. But it's part of what the Empower Hour also has as a format is we will have guest speakers at different points. Sometimes some hours, some weeks we'll have an expert on, or and I don't know.
Oh, we might have lost Molly. And with that, folks, I think we lost Molly and her laptop. So join us next week where we will pull another topic from the Magic Hat. Again, if you have a suggestion and would like to put it into the chat, or if you'd like to email it to us privately at hello@meetfutureu.com, we will respond right away. And if you are seeing this before February 26th, we will have Ed Kaplan, founder of LLM Liaison, joining us as our guest speaker as part of the collab group coaching program. It's a 6-month program. If you'd like to find more, the link is in the description of this broadcast. And you can join us. It's at, I believe this one is at, I think he's at 1 or is he at 11? No, he is at 11 a.m. Central Time on February 26th. If you join Collab before then, you will be given the Zoom link for that and you'll be able to join live. If you do happen to join after February 26th, it will be available for replay. You just won't have the benefit of being able to ask questions live. So what Ed does is he is an AI and well, LLMs, specifically large language models is what LLM stands for. He is expert in LLMs, AI, Gen AI, if you've used or heard of ChatGPT. this is what these things are based off of. And he has a really interesting approach where you don't have to be a tech person to understand what he's talking about. He specializes in humanizing large language models, and also has a background in oh my goodness, I'm blanking on the specific phrase. It's not oh my goodness, it just left my brain. I'm so sorry. But he counseling. That's it. Thank you. He was thank you, brain. He has classically trained counseling background, and so he has a very humanistic, approachable viewpoint. Also is neurodivergent and specializes in helping those with any sort of neurospiciness approach these tech topics with grace and ease. So please do make sure to join us. So we'll see you all next week. And in the meantime, we'll see you online. Take care. Have a good night.